I came up the lane to Holm Coombe long after dark, the wind moving through the reaped wheat stubble and ash flakes from the dying harvest bonfire blowing on it. There was a single thatched roof showing under the thin moon, my aunt's, and beyond it the upper field rising into a starless sky to the hill where the church had stood since before anyone in the village could remember. I had been gone 4 years to the town. My grandmother, the widow Bonus, had been dead since the spring, and I had not come back for the burying, and I had thought a great deal about that on the late train. Aunt Beth met me at the lich gate of the cottage and took my bag without a word. She was thinner than I remembered, in a black shawl that had been my grandmother's once. The kitchen was lit by one tallow candle. She put bread and dripping in front of me, and a piece of cheese, and a cup of milk that was still warm. I ate the bread, looked at the candle, and asked how the harvest had gone.
We finished the cutting on Lammas. The field's still to be dressed.
Dressed? She set down her knife and looked at me by the candle.
There's the scarecrow to do. We do it every autumn. You'll have seen it when you walked up the lane.
I had seen the scarecrow. The year's wicker effigy. On the rise of the upper field as I came along the lane, a long black figure against the field of stars. I had not looked at it carefully. I said as much.
Go up tonight. Take the lantern. It will help you understand.
I left her at the table and walked up the lane through the stubble in my town shoes, which were no use on the broken earth. The lantern threw a yellow ring at my feet. The wind came across the field, and the bonfire smoke mixed with the cold rising off the ground, and the air smelled of wet wool and old hay. I came to the scarecrow at the top of the rise. By lantern light, I saw it was dressed in my grandmother's wedding dress. I knew the dress because there had been a daguerreotype of her in it, in the parlor, when I was a girl. The lace at the throat was the same. The color, even softened in the moving lantern's light to the gray of long buried things, was the same. The straw beneath the cloth was new straw. The face cloth was clean white linen. Someone had washed the dress, and folded it, and dressed the post in it, since the spring. I stood there a long time. A single bell rang from the church on the hill, the way it had rung at the night office since before my grandmother and my grandmother's grandmother. Above the smoke, the stars were very clear. The scarecrow's sleeves moved in the wind, very gently, as if she were lifting her arm to me. I did not lift mine back. When I came down the lane, Aunt Beth was sitting on the step of the cottage with her hands folded.
The field needs new cloth each year. We use what the dead leave us. There were poppet cloths in the upper field before the church was built. The old folk did it with bone needle then, when the elder of the village called the reapers in. Now we do it with wedding lace, or aprons, or a shawl. The cloth is what matters. The dress remembers what the woman couldn't.
How long has this been done?
Since before the church on the hill. We use what the dead leave us.
I sat with her on the step in the dark. The bell did not ring again. After a time, she said, in the voice she had used when I was a child, that next year would be the postmistress's daughter's wedding shawl, if the doctor's mother went first, or it would be the doctor's mother's mourning silk if it was the postmistress's daughter. She did not seem troubled by this. She seemed only to be telling me how the cutting of the wheat had gone, and what would be planted in the spring. I asked her then who would dress the scarecrow when she died. She looked into the dark above the lane for a long moment, and then she said,
Whoever goes after me.
I left while it was still dark. The night train down to the town was empty, and the carriage was cold, and the windows were black against the country. In the compartment, I thought about my mother's trunk at the end of her bed, in the city, which had my grandmother's other dress in it. The christening dress she had embroidered for me when I was born. And I thought about how, when my mother died, I would take that trunk back to the village. I would not need to be told what to do with the cloth. We use what the dead leave us. The field keeps its own calendar,